Hey everyone, Mherex here, bringing you another video. This one I'm going to do a breakdown on the Clash in the Sand prize wall. So what I'll do first is kind of go through, give my initial thoughts on the prize wall, and then I'll go through and I'll do like, okay, this is kind of what I think if I get like 30,000 medallions. This is what I think if I get 15,000, and this is what I think if I'm like under 10,000 or under. Kind of give you guys some multiple ways of looking at it potentially, or do my best to do that. So Haku plate is 200% on black gems on a primary. It's countdown. It's pretty niche, right? It's very good on Haku. 200% on a primary is a lot, but it's only black gems and only countdown. So I don't think the price is necessarily bad or anything, but I think you won't have a lot of uses. If you're like going all in on Haku, it makes a lot of sense, right? Pretty good value there. The Rainbow Flurry plate, it adds more than the other ones. It's 500%, anti-snowfall, like tons and tons and tons and tons of places you can use it, right? So very, very strong ultimate plate. Green Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble plates all can be very useful. Particularly, I think I only really, really like the green one on Technician Live, Modern Era Live. People will like it on like Showboat Maxine. They'll also like it on Tech Flare, but to be honest, there's better plate options for those, both of them in the Green Royal Rumble. Also, it's really good. Actually, it's also very good on Striker Naomi. She's the other one besides Tech Live that I actually like it on, in particular if you don't have her gear, right? And then even if you do have her gear, if you need to get past like really tough opponents like Showdown, that kind of thing, the extra damage boost can help in Showdown. So it's solid. Of the two, I prefer the Rainbow Flurry, for example. Yeet Plate, at this point, like my free-to-play has two. Both of them were free to get, and anyone could have gotten them at the same time I've got those. It wasn't luck, it wasn't spending, it wasn't having a big roster, so I actually don't like the Yeet value at all anymore in this price range, just because like you should at least have one for sure, and probably two, to be honest, if not more. Um, so at 30K, I actually think this is terrible value. If this was more like 15K at this point, maybe, right? Ministry Business Plate only adds 100%. The main thing about this plate is it adds a little bit to a lot of people, right? It's a ton of places you can use it, but it's not a game changer. It's an enhancer plate. It's a very good enhancer plate, but a lot of the times the great people you would put this on don't really need it. It just adds a little bit extra. So I also, well, it's super nice to have, don't get me wrong. If you don't have like one of these three, right? Or even if you, for some reason, if you don't have a Yeet plate, I would value this lower. But if you do have one of them, then I think it's really, really strong and really, really good. Does that make sense? Punk's Gauntlets, 500% gem damage, like super good on this one. The most impactful people, probably Acro Devon, Punk himself, Nia Jax is super impactful on. Trickster Live are probably the really, really big ones. You can put it on a lot more people, of course. I know some people really like it on Acro Seth, but it's a really strong plate. These are lesser, kind of lesser, although the Timeless Style is super good on Tiffany. If you're doing like the moveset that I like playing with on Mherex account. So my also on my free to play got the Timeless Style plate too. So I think this has been more available. So I don't. These are like solid plates, all of them, but they're kind of like second tier. So if you get to 30K, right, I wouldn't probably go for any of these. This is kind of the misfit toys right here. Like the pricing is just wrong. They're good plates, but you know, probably you're better off going other routes in most cases. If that makes sense with your points, you'll see what I mean as we go through this. They're not bad plates at all. Kairi Sane can use this. Becky can use this in one build. Bex, you can see my video on that. You know, it's Turtle Ray, super, super good on Turtle Ray, for example. So it's not a bad plate at all. None of them are. I just don't love their price point on this wall, if that makes sense. Then you have the Snowfall plates. I'm not going to go into detail on where you can use all of them. I have a video up covering that already. You can go refer to that. 15K isn't bad if you have a specific targeted use, right? What do you mean, Mherex? Well, So if there's somebody you know that it makes better, and you don't have a better plate, or like maybe new modern powerhouse Cody, for his snowfalls, right? It adds green gem damage to him. You could use it with a Titan plate or blasting off. So maybe that's a spot you like this. And he's your best powerhouse and you want to make him better, right? Maybe Striker Liv you're using all the time and you want to make her better, so that you take the red one. Just like that kind of stuff. There are plenty of places you can use these. Maybe Tiffy time, right? You're a triple blue enjoyer. On Tiffy, this would be a solid plate for her, but there's also the leech plate, right? So keep that in mind with these, that there's also a lot of times other plate options, right? So, and 300% is nice for sure. So, yeah, new Haku, right? Probably, like, for me, if I was going to get one of these, I'd probably grab the black one just because Haku's Snowfall build is so good, and the black one would be fine. It would add more than enough to him. In a lot of cases, you really want the rainbow plate instead, but you could get by with the Haku one on this one, right? With this one. So there's that, right? But a 15K is not a bad price point for any of them if you have a specific use. That's the thing with these prize walls, guys. You know your roster better than me. I would value having one of a plate more than none, just about always, because sometimes, no matter how good the card is, you just can't run them very well without the right plate setup. So now we get to the full cards. This is where it gets really tricky, right? So Muda is incredibly strong, and just like my complaint about Ray Phoenix, I have the same one about Muda, is 2 reversals, MP up and gem damage %. So all the Hall of Famers reverse him, and then some of the newer ones like CM Punk and that kind of thing. Rex Regum, really, really strong showboat, but he's not the strongest, but he's very, very good, very smooth, right? So yeah. I think better value, honestly, than these two, because there's so many good showboats and it's modern. Amuda is really good, especially legendary. That's the thing. He's just really expensive. But these two, I really like. So, Attitude Ladies is really rough, right? So Trish, and she's really solid on her own for tricksters as well. So I don't mind the Trish pricing. Powerhouse Austin for me is the best feuding powerhouse in the game if you get all this stuff, right? So I think this is an outstanding price. If you don't have him, like, he just, it's like him, and he's my favorite feuding powerhouse, just period. You can run him 2-click without having to worry about any reversals. It's just chef's kiss, right? So I like the price point a lot here if you don't have him. A lot of times, but also make sure you have some of the stuff to run him. We're talking he's got a bajillion moments. You don't need them all. Main thing, if you don't have a bunch of the stuff, you want a Red Royal Rumble for sure. Titan plate, Red Royal Rumble. Obviously better if you have the Frankie plate, and better if you have more moments, right? But Titan, Red Royal Rumble, and then dual red MP trainers. Bray is really good, still really strong. He can hit very hard. Legendary striker, and he's Bray. Only critique is he's a little bit slow, but he can still get it done. So I really like him at this price point. Jade is my least favorite of all of them, simply because there are so many. She can hit hard, and I'll probably take heat for this, but she's not even a top 4 lady showboat, right? Bex was free and is significantly better in my opinion. Pretty much no matter what your account level is, Bex is going to be better, in my opinion. So I don't love her pricing. Boy, Naya for 10 feels like a steal, right? Just because, like, she was not, there weren't been, I think she was a 0 shard release, or like you had to pay a ton for a few shards kind of thing. So 9,600, really good value there. Devon with the Punk's Gauntlets is an absolute terror. Just straight up absolute terror. Especially if you add the moments and some of the multiply trainers. His gem damage set, though, is super whaley to run. So on a smaller account, not so much. So probably Devon is also not great value. If you're a whale, you know, or have whaley stuff, you already probably have him, right? On a smaller account, he's not nearly as good, because his setup is much more difficult, right? So these are probably my least two favorite, even though Devon is cheap, just because I feel like the stuff to run him right, you already have him, and he is one of the best acrobats in the game. I love him on Mherex. Just clarifying, so it's no hate towards him. It's just situationally trying to think about people's rosters, how that could go. Starcross, very good plate. Also love this on Bex. Actually, I had the wrong one. I don't like this one on Bex, I don't think. Is this the crossbreak one? I might have said it wrong. Yeah, that's right. I was right. Okay, good. I started to doubt myself. This is the primary plate. I like on Bex to go with that plate. It's a really nice combo with that build set. Not that it's necessarily your best. I just really enjoy that move set. And this is kind of where, like, the pricing on the middle tier, like, say you just miss 30K, right? You just miss a lot of these plates. Let's say you end up at like 25,000. These don't really make sense probably when you start looking at the plates down here and the fact you could get other stuff, right? So again, you could use this one on like Turtle Ray, I believe. I don't think he might make too many cross breaks. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but Starcrossed has plenty of places you can use it. However, most of you have, like we already talked about, have a yeet plate. This is really needed to unlock the full potential of a yeet plate. So if you have a yeet plate and you don't have a devil's drip, I think if you get to 13,100, it's probably the single best thing on the prize wall you could get, because now you unlock the full potential of both those plates and you really unlock some massive people you can use it on. There's a ton of people you can use it on, in particular Attitude Era and Modern. So Attitude Era, you have like NWO Macho, absolutely massive. You got Striker Nash, if you have all the stuff, including like the Vinny Vegas gear and stuff, it makes him really easy to run. You got WCW Ray, X-Pac. You know, there's no shortage of row breaks in the Attitude Era one. And then Modern, you can put it on anything from you got Lyra, you got King General, you got R-Truth, you got Raquel, you got JD McDonough, right? Like, it's just, if you can make a modern meat maker in particular, like, yeah, wow. It's really good. So I like, it's not that I think the pricing is great so much as that if you don't have one, I think you owe it to yourself to get one to really see what you can do with the combo with the yeet drip, right? So there's that. Don't like the pricing on the Dirty Deeds. Don't like the pricing on the Valkyrie's Crest. Total Silence, these anniversary plates are strong, so right, like, that's where I'm saying, like, that mid-tier, you could get one, you know, a couple of these, this and this. Penta, you can watch my Penta, my Superstars video I did on Penta, and just see how strong the Nearing End plate is on him. That's really the only place in particular I like the Nearing End. For me, it might also be good for Bark at the Moon Ozzy. I can't remember because I didn't get him, so, and won't ever get him, I don't think, so I kind of, you know, he's out of my personal brain. I don't like subplates, but this is great on Naomi, but I don't like subplates because I don't like sub gameplay. Blue Barber's plate's kind of whatever. RK Overload also kind of whatever. Devon Specs is kind of the winner of this price point, right? Just because color turn people, again, Naya, Liv, all the same people with the Punk's Gauntlets use this Devon Specs as well. So like it at that price point, right, as far as the plates go. And then you get into the shards. Again, those middle plates are kind of really expensive considering this might recruit any of these three for you, right? Might recruit Mommy for you. OTC probably won't recruit, to be honest, because he was hard to get shards for. Regal, honestly, is not that big a deal. People, I mean, like, if you really want him, I mean, sure, but I don't really think he's a big a deal. But these shard pricing, look at the King General shards, 325 for 7K. This jumps out at me immediately, right? If you want King General Gunther, now is the time, right? Like, this is really good pricing when you look at the pricing on the rest of the shards. Absolutely jumps out at me. And then these are all great pricing too, except LA Knight, whatever. He's not really worth it, but if it gets him off your list of people you want, sure. The Cody shards, if you still don't have Powerhouse Cody, wow. 350 shards for 2.6K. That's like, yeah. He's super strong. If you have at least a Titan, you can do good work with him. Titan and Roxanne. But all this pricing is really, really good. My free-to-play is gonna look really hard at these Beck shards, and also kind of a sleeper thing here for those of you like my free-to-play that really struggle with defensive shards for Chain Gang Cena, you might think about these shards just because that's 200 less shards you have to convert. It's not maybe the best thing long term, but if you're sick of waiting for your Chain Gang Cena, it's a possibility. But that's a short-term solution. I don't personally like it. I won't do it on my free-to-play, even if I want to. And I would, with doing this once, I would be able to take him up to bronze. I just need one more set of Hurricane Shards, though, and I'll stick it out personally. But that option is there for those of you that don't want to wait. Free-to-play is probably going to look really hard at these Beck Shards and the Bliss Shards and the Cody Shards. To be honest, this is what my free-to-play is looking at. Really good pricing on those. While we're talking about it, moments, if you're not going to hit this in the armory, this moment has a decent amount to offer. We can kind of look at it in the moments in a little bit. SummerSlam moment token, I can't remember. I don't think it's a multi one. We can kind of look at that. Ministry of Darkness one is fine. It's really expensive though. Hard for me to suggest taking any of these over a plate, you know, to be honest. This one, though, is maybe the best moment in the game. It's definitely the best ladies moment in the game. For those of you that have ran into the Beckys, the Mommies, all with a ton of health, the EO Skies at Trickster, this moment makes people super hard to deal with. Again, we're in that 15K kind of range where you have a choice to make here. The Cena Farewell Tour one, not bad moment at all, but maybe also not super needed, but reasonable. And this is another moment token for the Steve Austin versus The Rock moment token. I'm looking to pick this one up on Mherex. It's the third one for me, so I would get it. It does take 3 to unlock it, so be aware of that. Hate the straps, just ignore them. They're terrible pricing, and hate the econ. That's what you do with leftover, right? Absolutely hate the strap pricing and the economy. That's completely hate that. So this is a really good Prizewall. I mean, like, just the shards really quick again. Cody, for what he is and how good he is, this is 700 shards for like 5,000 Eiffel Towers. Just let that sink in. That's really, really good, guys. So if you don't have Cody, I mean, that's really cheap. And then King General Gunther, like these two are absolutely, this is, you could get 650 shards of Gunther for 15,000. Right, if you really want King General. He's very good. He's not my favorite showboat. That would be Dudenator for the males, but he is very, very, very good, especially if you have a Yeet Drip, which a lot of you do. Even if you don't have a Yeet Drip, even a Yeet is really good on him. So those two, like value-wise, are just kind of crazy to me. Huge chunk of Mommy shards too, and Mommy's ridiculous. So in the next up tier, to be honest, the Mommy shards jump out the most, right? She is more impactful than any of these. And so I like her pricing quite a bit. But to be fair, it's a huge chunk of shards on all of them at near the same price. So, you know, but this is when you start getting into really good plate range, right? So it's much harder to suggest those to me because I try and look long-term over recruiting. Eventually, you'll get the shards, you'll recruit them. That's how I look at it. They show up in contests. You know what I mean? The plates tend to be a lot of Prizewall stuff. Unless you get lucky from the Chest of Disappointment, and I usually don't. So try not to plan on that. Right? So, so let's say you get to 30K. Right? If I get to 30K, what would Mherex pick? 30K is exactly, to be honest, where I don't want to get. I want to get to like either like 25 or 35, but 30K would make it really hard because I have all of these, right? I have a decent amount of those. I don't know how many, but two of these, and one of these. So if I get to 30K, I would probably have to take this for me on Mherex, right? And I think that's, any of these are probably, these three are probably the right choice if you get to 30K for most people, right? Depending where you're going to use them. Now you could make a case you get to 30K for going like the Haku plate if you want to pimp out your Haku. The Haku plate and the Black Flurries plate, since this adds 300, the Haku adds 200, that gives you 500%, and then you'd have two plates. But Wouldn't it just be better to get the 500% on the Snowfall? I think so. So I think we just, for anyone trying to make that argument, I think no, right? I think you just take the rainbow one because you can use it anywhere. So I think this is out of the running at 30K personally, unless for some reason you have all of those. If you have all of these, right, then sure, go ahead. Then you could go that 15K route. For me, these are all out of the running to all together on this Prizewall. There's probably not a range where I take any would think this would be better than what else you could get on this Prizewall, right? So yeah, I would like to get 35K for the rainbow plate and the moment token on Mherex. That's like, I would be ecstatic if I could come away with those two things. But I have a lot of the other stuff, right? So the 30K range, as far as the big plates go, I think if I got to 30K and I didn't have one, I would for sure take one of those big plates. There are a few caveats to that, though. The big plates tend to be harder to get. You can see, even though there have been a ton of Yeet plates, Punk's Gauntlets have been offered a lot of places. They don't really come down in value. These 500%ers that can go a lot of places, Royal Rumbles and stuff, they don't ever tend to be cheap. These show up cheap sometimes, right? So that's why I am also not a fan of those if you get to 30 at any milestone, right? And I do think these are going to continue to be cheapish because they're so inferior to the rainbow. They're 200% less, which is a huge amount, right? So if I got to 30K and I didn't have one of the plates, I would absolutely take it over any of the cards, though, for the reasons I've stated, right? It's so much harder to get plates, and I can eventually recruit them. So I think, and honestly, if you're in the neighborhood where you're getting 30,000, you have most of these. I don't think any single one is worth it. If on a roster that is that deep, right? So here's though a couple potential caveats to that, right? Let's say you get to 30K, and you have a Yeet plate, but you don't have a Devil's Drip yet. I think you could make a really good case for going some big value route, getting a Devil's Drip, maybe also getting a Star-Crossed, right? That puts you at what, 26K with a little bit left over. So you could maybe do something like that. You could get Devil's Drip and then come down here and get Mommy Shards, for example, or 2 sets of King Gunther Shards in the Devil's Drip, right? Then if that recruits King Gunther, now you have King Gunther, who's amazing with it. You have a Yeet, a drip plate to go with your Yeet, right? So I could see combining in that kind of scenario, right? So there's that. I could also see, just going big value. Maybe you love Penta and you want to get your first this, grab a nearing end, and then with what's left over, maybe snag a Total Silence or one shot, one set of King Gunther Shards, or maybe you almost have Liv, one set or 2 sets of Liv Shards potentially, right? Or get Cody. So there's a lot of you would have a lot of options. Don't spend your stuff right away, wait till the end, and then pick let's say you get to 30K, pick your primary objective, right? And then minus that, and then really look through and see how you can combo stuff, because sometimes you can get a lot of nice stuff in there. So yeah, I think and as far as the moments go, to me, they're all passes at 30K. I'd take the plates unless you had all of the plates. And then if you have all the plates, you probably don't need me to tell you. Again, though, let's say you get to 30K, you don't have a Devil's Drip yet, you don't have the evolution moment. I could see that, right? This is the strongest moment on here, bar none. Easily. Everyone that it's used for is super good. So you could also maybe argue at 30K that you want to go the Naya route, right? You want to recruit Naya. You could get like the 25K range, right? You could grab Naya, for example, and you could grab the evolution moment if you didn't have it, right? So there's just a lot of different ways to look at it, and it's hard to know without a specific account. But to me, I don't like chasing shards at most of the time. I will give me the plates. I'll get the shards eventually. I try to look long view. I've done the same thing on my free to play. That's why it has 2 Yeet plates and a Tiffy time plate. right? Simply because I'm looking long view, not short view. So yeah, that's just my philosophy. So that's kind of maybe your 30K range. You obviously there I can't cover every possible scenario. Like I said, I'd love to get 35, grab this, and that would make the decision super easy for me if I get to 35 on Mherex. Just grab this and the Rainbow Snowfall. I don't have it. This finishes the moment for me. Easy, done. But I don't need any of the shards, full disclosure, on Mherex. I have all of these characters, so it's not tempting for me. So that could be biasing me somewhat. Um, okay. So let's say you get to 25K and you miss all of these top ones, right? Let's say like 25K. You miss all these top ones except potentially the Haku plate. I don't think if at 25K I would probably do it. I'd probably also leave all of these alone if I got to 25K. If I had Haku, maybe though I would grab either his plate or the Black Snowfall. Probably the Black Snowfall adds 100% more, so I guess probably the Black Snowfall between the two of them. Um, if you don't have a Devil's Drip, I think you grab that, and then you have like a little bit left over to do some more shopping, right? And you have another 12K plus left over. You can get some shards, some high ticket ones, right? That sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, same sort of thing. I don't think if I got to 25K, I would probably take one of these. I could maybe see Austin if you have all the stuff to run him, to be honest, just because he's so strong. Could also see Naya and something else. So Naya and the Devil's, Devil's Drip, that sort of thing. 20K, it probably gets harder to decide though, because it makes it harder to work. Because if you get a plate, one of these plates, you're getting nothing else, right? And they're 300% is good, but if you get one of these, you're getting nothing else really, right? So maybe at 20K though, Naya or Devon potentially, and Devon in a Devil's Drip if you have a little bit extra. It gets really hard if you take a card, you're not getting any plates at all. And if you don't have these are pretty these have some pretty good spots, those top ones, right? So but I do think 20K is more the range where maybe you start to really think about shards because you might already have most of these plates, let's say. And now, like, wow, I can get 650 Gunther shards. I can also pick up some live shards with it, right? So these plates also all have been more readily available. They're all primary plates, and they then generally cost less, and show up more often, typically. So I think at the point when you start getting to the 20K range, the shards start to make a lot of sense, as well as the moments, right? So if you're 20K and under, maybe think about that, unless you don't have like I said, the caveat to all this would be if you don't have a Devil's Drip to go with your Yeet plate and you already have it. And then going even further down, let's say you get to 10K, so you're beneath like having 15K, so no moment. 15K would be another kind of rough one because you have the option for the moment. You could grab one of some of the plates, or maybe potentially like two sets of shards, right? Would you take the evolution moment or 650 is a lot of freaking shards, guys. That's a lot of shards. So you think about how much that would have cost when he came out, how much it could cost on a lot of Prizewalls. I don't know why he's so cheap here. I wonder if he will continue to be this cheap. But yeah, it gets a lot harder at the 15K range would be a really tough to decide range for me. So I don't know if I have the right answer. I think it's roster dependent. You know what I mean? And then if you get to 10K, I think it's kind of tough as well. At 10K, you're like, man, do I take something like one of these two plates, or do I go ahead and recruit Naya at 6-star gold? Or do I grab shards, right? This is like if my free to play, I kind of feel like my free to play will end up around 10K. I don't know he'll get that high, but somewhere in there. I start looking at this and how much difference Becky would make on my account. I still don't have Bliss, and she would be helpful. I don't have Cody, right? Like, and this is only 50% on the color turn. You know, right? 10K gets you 325 Gunther shards if you're close, and then some, right? You could maybe recruit Liv Revenge Tour out of this. And as far as the moments go, I mean, you know, right, like I said, so I think free to play, for me, my free to play 10K gets interesting in the sense that I probably don't take the plates. And I probably recruit people. But if I had somebody I knew, like if I had Penta on the free to play and he was my main character, I would absolutely take this over any of the other shards. I don't. If I had somebody that the total silence made a huge difference on, I would take that over recruiting somebody new, or the shards. But I feel like account wise, Bex will help a lot. Although these shards are likely not going to go away anytime soon, so I could change my mind on that. We'll see where it ends. That's kind of what I got though for the Prizewall breakdown, guys. Tried to go super in depth on this. Maybe it's too much. There's just so much good stuff, and then just kind of to recap stuff that jumps out for me. You can finish this, but it's 3 tokens, so just be aware of that. Evolution moment, this is the clear winner here, and I would probably put this one number 2. Yeah, I think for me, these are the top 2. Um, Shards, all of these are cheap, but in particular, Cody pricing jumps out at me. King General, wow, why so cheap? I'm not complaining, that's a good thing, right? And I mean, in the lower tier plates, this is really the only choice, really, of them, in my opinion. It's the best of the these. And then these middle tier ones, obviously, Devil's Drip wins. Yeah, if you have a Yeet plate, but don't sleep on Starcrossed, you know. So these are all whatever, but I think this is my favorite price point on them, along with Naya, just because she's so potentially rare. So those two, and then of course this one, and the Punk's Gauntlets, these 3 here. So let me know what you think in the comments. Hopefully this is helpful, and remember to like, subscribe, and share, because that really helps me out. And that, guys, thanks for watching. Good luck out there. Just remember, guys, you know your roster way better than I ever will, and hopefully you care more about your roster than I ever will. So trust your gut, go with what you know is going to help you the most. In my opinion, try and think long term if you're going to play long term, because that'll help you the most, I think.